If you are struggling in Champion and Fortnite Chapter 5, this is the video for you. Champion is one of the hardest ranks because it's a rank right before Unreal. Players will do anything to hit Unreal by camping in a tree or bush because they have tried everything, but this video will help you to take that next step. I will give you guys a step-to-step guide. I will start from when you first drop to all the way to endgame. Now, let's get into the video. The first thing I will go over pretty quickly is what game mode should you play? There are solos, duos, trios, and squads. The best game mode to play is solos because kills are worth a lot more compared to other game modes. Next is duo, then trios, then lastly squads. The more people you play with, the less percentage you will gain in each game. You don't get rewarded as much for kills and placement when you play with more players. Now, let's talk about drop spots. You want to have a consistent drop spot where you land at for every game. First off, you want to try to pick a spot to land at. It doesn't have to be a POI, but you want to make sure it's a place with decent loot. After you've figured out what spot you want to land at, you need to practice your drop spot in a normal battle royale game. You want to learn where all the chest spawns are, where the floor loot spawns are, ammo boxes, and movement. If there's like cars there, if there's like that Ninja Turtle tunnel, just make sure you know everything about your POI there. You know how many chests are there. Like I said, floor loot spawns. You want to make sure you know everything there so you can consistently have good placement and get kills. Also, make sure when you're playing in those normal battle royale games, make sure to practice your skydiving and when you pull your glider out because you want to be one of the first people to land there so you can have advantage of those players that haven't landed yet. You can get a gun real quick. Now let's talk about early game after you landed. Early game is important because it sets the tone on how the rest of the game will turn out. This is how you can win off spawn or early game in every match you play. The one way you can improve at fighting at that spot is obviously just practice fighting there. Obviously learn how to escape when sometimes you won't have the best off spawn experience, so you have to try to run away. Learn how to escape if there's certain areas you can go, if there's cars at a certain area. Basically, you just want to get experience from fighting there. Also, learn things that most people don't see at that spot. For example, if you know there's a spot with a lot of brick or metal, obviously know where that spot is every game so you can get an advantage and have a lot of maps off spawn. Just find little things that can improve your off spawn fighting. The next thing I want to talk about is don't rush to early game fights. People play very impatient, so they'll just try to get in your box and W key. So play distance and play smart. Have good peeks and just hit your shots. The next thing I want to talk about is obviously know what loadouts you like to use. So for example, if you like the auto better, obviously carry an auto and try to find an auto. Or if you like a certain SMG better, you obviously pick that SMG over the other one. And same thing with a sniper. I would recommend everybody carrying a sniper because they can hit one shots and they're just so OP and it just feels really nice to use them this season. Know what kind of player you are and find your best favorable loadout. Now, let's talk about mid-game. When you're about to leave your spot, you need to have some rotations in mind. You always want to be advancing your game and you need to stay moving, but you don't want to rotate stupidly. You rotate in a way that you'll spot the enemy before they spot you. What I mean by that is you always rotate on the dead side of zone, so you make sure you remember where the bus route was. You want to rotate through places that you already have been looted, so you can rotate through there and maybe catch somebody roaming around there. Most players know that spot is looted and they just let their guard down. You want to catch players lacking so you can get some free shots off, and if you have a sniper, you can get a free headshot. Always have rotations in mind. Also, your rotations might vary depending on the zone and the bus, so keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about how you should fight in mid-game. Fighting mid-game is very annoying because you will have third and fourth parties all the time. But if you use my tips with rotating dead side, you'll avoid most third parties. When fighting an opponent, you want to always have high ground so you can control the engagement. You want to control the fight by always applying pressure with your AR shots. You want to always keep high ground and apply pressure because you will keep annoying your opponent, and at one point your opponent is going to get impatient and make a stupid mistake. Always make sure you are controlling the fight and apply pressure when you can. Also, when fighting, protect yourself with walls with having high ground because there will be potential third parties ready to 200 you in the head with a sniper. Make sure to have smart rotations, always have high ground, control the fight, and don't have yourself exposed when fighting because of potential snipers. Now, let's talk endgame. The most important thing in endgame is your positioning. You want to make sure you rotate early in every zone to have an amazing positioning. When you are in zone, you want to make sure you hold players in storm and potentially get some free kills. Always play positioning so you won't be able to So you always play positioning so you won't be like that Billy kid that dies in the storm or by other players. Endgame is simple, but it's one of the hardest things to master because early and mid game can affect on how your endgame will turn out. Now, let's talk about when should you take height. I gave some comments about when should I have take height when fighting an endgame. The time to take height depends on how many players are left and what zone it is. If endgame isn't stacked, you should take height at 8th zone. So basically, when the zone starts pulling far, you want to do this because players will be worried about rotating, so you can easily get some free kills by players struggling to rotate. The last thing I will go over is keep a positive mindset. Not every game will go your way, and you'll have to realize that because there's a lot of luck you can't control. Don't focus on the stuff you can't control. Instead, focus on what you can control, which if you're hitting all your AR shots, your shotgun shots, if you're making good, consistent edits, and if you're playing a smart game with your rotation. If you are having a bad day, just get off for the day and don't stress on it too much. There is more to life than just Fortnite, trust me. Sometimes luck won't go your way and you can't control that, so don't stress over it. That is all I have for you guys today. If you guys learned a little bit or learned something, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like. Here are some other videos you can watch, okay, if you enjoyed this one. See you guys in the next one. Peace!